Hi, we're Group 5, and this is our strategic analysis of Gap Incorporated. I'm Ciarra, and this is Kaitlyn, and we're going to talk about the value chain and the five forces and the mergers and acquisitions, as well as some of the business level strategy that Gap uses. So without further ado, here is Kaitlyn with the value chain.
Hi, so starting with the value chain, I just want to explain a little bit about what it is, and then I'll get into our different categories. So first, internal analysis, also called the value chain analysis, assists firms in understanding which their operations create value and what needs to be improved. Having this knowledge allows them to earn above average returns as they maximize these operations. However, the value chain analysis is simply a template or a guide and does not provide specific instructions for the firm to use. Firms must take this template and tailor it to their firm. So first, going into this different sections, we have the supply chain. Gap used to have over 2,000 suppliers. However, with their recent initiative to increase sustainability, they have decreased that number to approximately 900. This has allowed them to invest more in these strategic relationships. Second, we have operations. Due to a fire at their Fishkill distribution center in New York, they were forced to innovate and streamline their operations. They did this by acquiring new machinery that allowed their operations to work more effectively and efficiently. Third, distribution. Gap uses a practice called co-location, which is using vendors who cut and sew garments in the same country where the raw materials are grown and processed. This helps them cut down on shipping costs and times. They also make use of cross-channel fulfillment centers that provide them the flexibility to process both online and store orders in the same facility. Fourth, we have marketing. Gap Inc. has to market to a lot of different demographics because of their different brands that they have acquired. To do this, they use a variety of print, television, magazine, and media ads to reach all their varying demographics. They have also started increasing their involvement in nonprofit organizations, schools, and social responsibility programs so they can market towards the more socially conscious generations. Lastly, we have follow-up service. For their brands of Gap, Old Navy, and Banana Republic, they give consumers 30 days to return unwanted items. Athleta, on the other hand, gives their consumers 60 days to do this. Aside from returning or exchanging unwanted items, Gap Inc. provides help on their website in the form of FAQs, step-by-step instructions, and a chat or call service. And that concludes our value chain analysis. So now we move on to the five forces analysis, or also called the external analysis. We're going to start at the threat of new entrants, which we placed as moderate. New entrants are common in the apparel industry as it does not take an excessive amount of capital to enter the market, especially now that companies have the option to sell online and do not need a physical location to start up. So as the competitors increase and the pressure on Gap increases, Gap has to innovate, improve operations, lower their costs, and create new value for customers to keep enticing them. Power of bargaining suppliers is a high strength for Gap Inc. As Gap sources from over 900 suppliers with their new sustainability initiative, and due to the amount of suppliers they currently source from and the amount that they have the ability to source from, suppliers themselves are in a weak bargaining position. If Gap Inc. is not pleased with what the suppliers are doing or the materials they are producing, they can be fairly easily replaced with little to no switching cost. Bargaining power of buyers is a low strength for Gap Inc. Gap Inc.'s buyers have a lot of bargaining power as there are many substitutes, as we will talk about later on. This has pushed Gap to create value for buyers by offering discounts on its products, and differentiating itself from its competitors. So now to the threat of substitute products, which is a low strength for Gap Inc. There are so many substitute products that Gap has to compete with. The fashion industry moves so quickly, trends come and go, and large companies such as Gap Inc. do not have the flexibility that smaller ones do. Because of this, Gap Inc. has to really differentiate itself through their products, service, ability, or even their discounts and promotions. Lastly, for this section, we have rivalry among existing competitors, which is a moderate strength for Gap Inc. Gap Inc. has competitors such as American Eagle, JCPenney, Macy's, and Forever 21. These are, I would say, Gap's largest competitors, kind of in the big box sort of thing. Each company holds very little of the market share and are constantly competing to gain and hold a competitive advantage. It is difficult for these companies to retain consumers and market share due to the low switching costs for customers and high product substitutability. And because it is so hard for companies to keep a competitive advantage, they're being constantly pushed and pressured to offer new and exciting products, discounts, and attractive lifestyles. And that competes our 5 forces or external analysis.
Okay, so let's talk about Gap's brands. So Gap has 4 main brands, and that's Gap itself, Old Navy, Banana Republic, and Athleta. Old Navy was created by Gap itself, but Banana Republic and Athleta were acquired by Gap. All of these companies use a different business level strategy. But together as a corporate level strategy, as all of these firms are in the fashion industry, this is and no one company has more than 70% of the sales. This is a related, linked corporate level strategy, because all of the brands in the company are linked through the fashion industry. So Old Navy and Athleta are the fastest growing brands in Gap's arsenal, with Athleta being the fastest growing. Banana Republic has struggled on and off since it was acquired in 1983, and has recently begun to struggle again. Gap also had 2 acquisitions, Intermix and Janie and Jack, that it divested itself of in 2021. They got rid of these acquisitions because they wanted to focus on their core brands, and the brands that were growing. At the time, that was Banana Republic and Athleta. They also wanted to turn around their Old Navy and their own parent company of Gap, to make them more popular. As you can tell, they've been a bit successful with Old Navy as it is finally growing again, and Gap has not been as successful in raising the parent company of Gap more in growth. So that is our strategic analysis of Gap. Thanks for listening.